Hi, first graders. Mrs. Bell here. I hope you guys are ready for your music special today. I'm going to introduce a brand new piece of music to you today that you're going to listen to because it's going to feature another family of instruments that we haven't talked about yet. So, when we left Creekside, first grade had really mastered the brass family of instruments. I hope you guys remember those. We're going to review the brass family today, but we're going to introduce another family of instruments called the string family. And there's a really wonderful piece of music that I would like for you to listen to today that really features the instruments from the string family. So, the I can statement for today is I can identify instruments from the brass family and from the string family. So, I'm going to tell you about the instruments today, and then I'm also going to attach a couple of more videos that you may watch on your own that will give you some more explanation about the instruments in the string family, give you a chance to really hear what they sound like. And I'm also going to attach a really fun website you can go to where you can click on the different families of instruments in the orchestra and you can hear what they sound like. And you can even challenge yourself to see if maybe you can identify those families of instruments on your own. The last thing that I'm going to attach to your music assignment today is a website where you can practice clapping your rhythms with ta and tt. We did that in music class a lot, so I know you guys will be really good at it, and I really want you to keep practicing clapping those rhythms because when we come back to Creekside, we're going to be learning some more rhythms. And I don't want you to forget the rhythms that we've already learned and practiced in the classroom. So let's start off today by going over the instruments in the brass family. Okay, we're not going to do a singing warm up today because we're not going to be using our singing voice today. Last week, the lesson was pretty easy. I taught you that hand washing song. I knew you had been on spring break and it was going to be kind of challenging to get back in the swing of things with school. So I tried to take it easy on you last week. But this week, we're really going to be diving into a lot more material. So I hope you'll be good listeners. And the first thing that I want to show you is a diagram that has the brass family of instruments. And we have already talked about the brass family quite a bit. But before I introduce the string family to you today, I think it's important that we go over the instruments in the brass family just to make sure you haven't forgotten about those. So the brass family instruments are made out of what? I know you guys remember. They're made out of brass, right? That's easy to remember because that's the name of the family of instruments. So we're going to start over here. And this smallest instrument in the brass family is our trumpet, right? The trumpet is the smallest. The medium size instrument in the brass family, remember, it has all of these beautiful pieces of coiled metal. It's called the French horn, right? Then this long and narrow instrument in the brass family is our trombone. And then the largest instrument in the brass family is the tuba. So remember, the bigger the instrument, the lower the sound. So if the instrument is really big, that means it's going to play really low notes. If the instrument is small, it's going to play really, really high notes. So let's listen to our trumpet. Remember, all the instruments in the brass family are made of brass. They have a mouthpiece where you blow air into it. The air travels through that metal tubing, and they have valves where you can change the sound, or one instrument has a slide instead of valves, right? Instead of the buttons that you press, the trombone has a long slide that goes in and out. And all of the instruments have an opening at the end. That's my favorite part of the instrument. Do you guys remember what my favorite part of the brass instruments is called? Where the sound comes out? It's called the bell. right? That's why it's my favorite part, because it's the same as my last name. All right, so here's the trumpet.
Trumpet.
Okay, let's see. The French horn, a little lower because it's a little bigger. See how it can play a little lower than the trumpet? Now, the trombone. Let's listen for that slide. Higher, 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 higher. Lower. Okay, and last but not least, our tuba, very low. Do you hear the sound of those valves, those buttons that the musician is playing really quickly? You can hear them taking a breath too, because you have to blow air into the brass instruments. Wow, did you hear how low that tuba can play at the very end? So now that we've reviewed the brass family, I want to move into the string family. Okay, there's a piece of music today that I'm going to teach you. We're going to listen to it together, and it has some instruments from the string family in it. So let's learn about those. Okay, the string family of instruments are not made out of brass, right? You can tell that they are not made out of shiny metal. They're primarily made out of what material? Can you tell by looking at them? It's brown. It's not quite as shiny as the brass. What do you think this material is? Yeah, if you said wood, then you're correct. So the string family is primarily made of wood. And why do you think they're called the string family? Because what do they have on them? They have strings. They don't have a mouthpiece like the brass, because you don't blow air into these instruments. Right? They don't have buttons on them or a slide like the trombone. They don't even have a bell on the end where the sound comes out. Okay? These instruments are made out of wood and they have strings on them. And then this long, skinny piece right here that's next to some of our string instruments is called a bow. So instead of blowing air like the brass family, you glide a bow, or you can just use your finger to prick those strings. Okay, if you use the bow, you're gliding the bow across the strings, and the sound is made from the vibration of the strings. When you pluck them or glide the bow across the strings, it makes those strings vibrate, and then the sound echoes or resonates inside the body, this large cavity of the instrument in the string family. And the sound that echoes from the vibration of the string comes out of these beautiful little holes that are carved out of the piece of wood. Okay, so the smallest instrument in the brass family is the violin. So it plays really high notes. It's small. Now, the viola is just a little bit bigger than the violin, so it sounds really similar, but it can play a little bit lower because it's a little bit bigger. The next one in the string family is a little bit larger. It's called the cello, and it rests on the floor because it's pretty big. Violin and viola are held up on the shoulder, and you press the chin against it. But the cello is much bigger. It's too heavy and too big to hold up here like the violin and the viola. So the instrumentalist will rest the cello on the floor and they play it out in front of their chest. Okay, the double bass is the largest one and it plays the lowest notes. It's so big that you have to stand up and play it. Okay, so it plays the lowest because it's the biggest. Some other string instruments are the harp. Okay, the harp you just play with your fingers, right? You would sit in a chair behind it and pluck the strings with your fingers. It's really challenging to play the harp. And then some other string family instruments that you will recognize are the guitar, the banjo, and the electric guitar. And sometimes people classify the piano as a string family instrument because inside the piano there are strings, and when you press one of the keys on the piano, there's a hammer that hits those strings to create the sound on the piano. So the piano can sometimes be considered a string family instrument. Okay, so here's the song that features the string family that I want you guys to listen to today. It's written by a famous composer whose last name is Vivaldi. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys a little slide. His name is Antonio Vivaldi. You can tell he lived a long time ago, right? You can tell by his clothes and his hair that he lived a really long time ago. So this is a picture of him, and he composed music for a school of orphaned girls. The school became famous for its very good orchestra. Vivaldi wrote over 400 concertos. So a concerto is a piece of music for an orchestra that features one instrument at a time, okay? And one of the concertos that he wrote that is so famous today is called Four Seasons. And the Four Seasons is a concerto that has 4 different movements that each feature one of the 4 seasons. Do you guys know the 4 seasons that we have? So the 4 seasons are winter, spring, summer, and fall, right? So this one that I want you to listen to today features the spring season, because that's what season we're in right now. So listen for the string family instruments as we watch this listening map, and you're going to see some string family instruments right here on the listening map. Okay, here we go. I bet you've heard this before. All right, so I'm going to attach a video where you can listen to this whole entire movement from Vivaldi's Four Seasons. Okay, listen for sounds like birds. Listen for a part that might sound like a thunderstorm, because that happens in the springtime. And then at the end of the concerto, we hear those beautiful string instruments again, and it sounds like the sun has come back out. Okay, this concerto features the violin from the string family. Okay, so I'm going to attach some of the other videos for you so you can listen some more to the spring concerto from Vivaldi's Four Seasons. I'm also going to attach a video where you can hear some more of the string family instruments. And then I'm going to attach 2 links for 2 websites that I would like for you to go to practice naming some instruments from the orchestra, and also practicing rhythms with ta and tt. Make sure you mark as done when you're finished so that I know you did your music special today, and you listened to my video and you watched the other videos and practice naming the instruments and your rhythms today. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time.